Hi, you're welcome. I'm happy to have you here today. I want to talk to you who is multi-talented. You have a lot of things going on for you. You believe that you can multitask. You believe that you have a lot of things going on for you. Sometimes you might experience burnout, you might gas out, or sometimes you don't even know the exact gift or the exact skill to focus on. You believe you can do so many things and you don't even know which one is your core. This video is for you. First of all, I like to establish in your heart that you're not abnormal. We have people like that in our world, and I'm one of them also. And it could be actually a little confusing sometimes. It could be a little overwhelming when you can do a whole lot of things and you really want to do everything. You don't want any part of your life to suffer. And even in the Bible, if you look at the CV, I call it the CV, the curriculum vitae of David in 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 18. It is said of him that he was cunning in playing, he was a valiant man, he was a man of war. So he had a lot of things going on for him. And even Jesus was multi-talented, multi-dimensional. He healed the sick, he preached, he taught in the synagogues. He was doing a lot of things. Now, what must you do when you're multi-talented or you're multi-dimensional? Number one thing I'm going to say is this. You need to know that there is time for everything. The Bible establishes that. You might be able to do a whole lot of things, but you need to check which one is most important now to be done, or which one am I supposed to be working on to get better in now, while I use the other one I'm very good at. And let's assume you're actually very good in all, then which one are you supposed to be working on right now? It is important that you pick that exact one and begin to work on it, prioritize. So look at David, for instance. There was a point that he was playing the harp actively and taking care of the sheep. There was a time that he left taking care of the sheep and went into the palace. Yes, he was still playing the harp, but we don't see as much of David, the shepherd boy, in the palace. We see more of a leader who had evolved from being a shepherd boy to a king. Of course, we know that he wrote a lot of the Psalms, so he must have continued playing. But there's a possibility that David focused more on leading the people than just playing the harp and sitting with the sheep. So you see that there was a time where he was probably focused so much on his instruments, which eventually led him to the palace. So like I taught in one of our videos, that there is a gift that might lead you to the knowledge of your tool, or there's a gift that might unlock other gifts to you. Now, I'll give you some pointers to help you know which one to focus on per time. Number one thing you might want to ask yourself is, what project am I doing right now? What am I working on right now? Which of the gifts come in handy? Now, take note of this. There's a possibility that you will have some gifts that are kind of similar, some skills that are kind of similar. It's possible. And then you can just combine them and use them at the same time. For instance, you can combine something like maybe writing and maybe talking. So what you're saying, you can write. What you're writing, you can say. So you can combine those two. That one, you don't have to say, oh, which one is the priority. You might do them at the same time, depending on how you're led to do it. So talking about priority now, what project am I working on now? What gift comes in handy? What project am I likely to work on in the next 2 months, the next 3 months, and so on? And what gift do I have that might come in handy? Do I need to improve on that gift now for that project coming up later, while I work on the project I'm doing now with a certain gift that I'm using now? Did you get that? So you're using a certain gift right now for the existing project, and then you're working on developing that other gift that will come in handy later. So what project am I working on at the moment? Then you can also check, what's my purpose? And if you don't have it clearly defined yet, remember to watch the video I talked about, Is My Purpose Staring Me in the Face? Now, even if you don't have it all figured out, I mean your purpose, what is that thing that you want to do with your life? If you had all the money, you had all the time, you had everything in the world, what is that thing you want to do? Check within with the help of the Holy Spirit also. So that big picture you're looking at, what gifts come in handy? And what portion of that your purpose are you working on now? And what gifts come in handy to fulfill that portion? And which will come in handy later? Now, you're trying to check which of the gifts align with this point I just mentioned. The project you're working on right now, your purpose, then which of the gifts align with the best version of yourself? Like I said, you can group some of these gifts or skills together. those that are alike. For instance, you can group teaching. If you coach, you can group coaching with teaching, with speaking. Everything has to do with the mouth, right? So let's assume you act. also, that's another portion. So you say drama, that's another portion. Let's say you do coding, that's another portion. You're a graphic designer, you can group it also somewhere else. So the ones that are alike, group them together and then look at which of them aligns with the best version of myself. Take note of those ones also. Remember that you've talked about the project you're working on right now, so that you prioritize, and then your purpose, then the best version of you, which of them aligns. If they all align, it means that you should work on all of them, but remember the priority. Another thing you should take note of is which of the gifts align with what you do better than most people. Now, this question will actually help you introspect more than you probably have. What do you do better than most people? Think about it. It's in you. It's something you know. Just stay, think, check within your spirit. What do I do better than most people? That's one of your gifts also. That is one thing you probably need to use more, develop more, especially if it's in line with, number one, remember the project you're working on right now, your purpose, the best version of yourself. Now, another thing that you must check is which of the gifts align with what I enjoy doing the most. So we're trying to group the gifts and skills you have according to priority, which one you should focus on more for now and per time. So what do you enjoy doing the most? It's possible that you have some gifts that, of course, they are very valid, but they might not be fully in tune with your purpose. They might be in tune, but not fully in tune. So there might be additional gifts to just be by the side. So that's why you need to focus first on the major ones. You can work on others here and there, but focus on the ones that are in your core, like I just pointed out. Also, check what you want to change in your world. That's of course in line with your purpose, and then which of these gifts are aligned. So now with this, you can group them. Which one do I need that is aligned with all these points I just mentioned, and which one should I begin to work on more now? Even though I can do a whole lot of things, so that I know the major one. For me, for instance, God told me my mouth is my tool. I have different gifts, but I found out that everything usually boils down to my mouth. There are other aspects to it also that the world is yet to see, but then it's important that we pick the core, begin to work on them, especially the ones that are in line with what we're doing right now. Focus on the others gradually, pick them gradually, so that you don't just burn out and you're doing so many things, because focus is very important. Even Jesus made it clear that if your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. It doesn't mean that you cannot do other things, but like I said, prioritize. Another thing you can do is you can delegate. As time goes on, when you get very good at the gifts God has given to you and you're working on them, per time, there you'll find out that eventually you'll lead. Watch my last video where I talked about, are you the cause of the hunger problem in the world? You'll find out that you begin to lead people, whether consciously or unconsciously. You begin to influence people in that area where you have trained yourself, or the area where you have gifts, talents, or skills. And before you know it, when you have need in that area and you need to focus on another gift at that particular time, you can easily delegate to the people who have watched you over time, or people you have consciously mentored, and then you can delegate to them. I have done that over time. There are so many projects that I've had to do over the years, and as God gives me the ideas and all that, they're all in line with my purpose. I started myself. So I picked this one, I started, and over time people come around to join me to work. They come as the workforce, they come as leaders or whatever, and they get so good at it, and then I can move to the next project and delegate to them. So I train them and they get very good. I delegate, I move to the next. So I'm able to do a whole lot of things because there are people that God helps us to train in the area that we have worked on before. So all I just have to do is oversee because they get good. So you need to get to that point where you can also delegate. So number one thing I mentioned is for you to prioritize. Number two thing is for you to delegate. Remember, I said also that while you're prioritizing, there's some things you can do at the same time that are very similar. And even when you have different things that you want to do, some of you might still think, oh no, I still want to do this, then I want to do photography, I want to do graphic designing, I want to, like I said, there's still always one that stands out based on the parameters I gave you earlier. There is one that is in line with the project you're doing right now. There is one that will be in line with the project you'll do later. There is one that is in line with what you really love doing. There is one that is in line with the big picture and will come in later, and so on and so forth. So while you're doing what you're doing, just know that as you get better and better at a particular skill, a particular talent, it might unlock the next level. Like David, for instance, he was a shepherd boy, he became a king. So as you get better and better at it, it unlocks the next level. But if your energy is too scattered, you might not really find the one that is the core. And remember, the gift of a man makes way for him. So if you're good, yes, in so many things, but you've not learned how to focus and zero in on one per time, I mean to zero in and stay on a major part per time, conquer that one, and then move to the next. You can get to the point that you've conquered one so much that whether you delegate or not, you get to the point where it's almost on autopilot. There's some things that when you delegate now, it's on autopilot, it's just working for you. Or you get to the point where if you're woken up from sleep, you're so good at it that you can do it at anybody's beck and call. So you've conquered that one and moved to the next. So don't think that, because I'm not using all my talents, I'm going to hell, God is going to judge me. I have just given you some tips on what you can do. I'd like you to drop your comment on what stood out for you and what you hope to do based on this video you just watched. I'd like you to like this video if it blessed you, and ensure you share with somebody. God bless you, and see you next time.